Ready?
We're here with our the video on creativity in sports, and Coach O'Brien's been incredibly busy. He's been kind enough to just spend a few moments with him. And I spoke to Coach O'Brien a couple months ago, and he actually once designed a boat in an engineering course at Brown University. But he was also, at the time we talked, really busy already planning practice schedules and so forth. And Coach, I was just curious about that in terms of how you go about designing a practice.
Sure. One of the things that you have to look at every single day is what you want to accomplish. So football is a game of situations. So every single day you have to decide what on the checklist it is that you have to get accomplished. So, today it was red area, which is from the 20-yard line in. It was first and second down and then some third down situation. So you allot time so that at the end of training camp, you go back and you look, hey, I've got all these on my checklist. I've got all these situations covered.
Okay.
And that's how practice organization goes. And the beginning of practice is usually all about individual technique, and then you put it all together at the end. And it's kind of a whole theory, and at the end you put your team together and run team plays within the different situations.
Sounds great. It sounds like you're dealing a lot with composition and how parts fit together.
You got it.
So I'm just curious in terms of, creativity is often thought about in the arts, but I know in speaking to you before, there's creativity in everything. And I was just wondering sort of what comes to mind when you think of being creative as a football coach or teacher.
Sure. The one thing that you have to think about in football all the time is, if you're an offensive coach, is how are you going to put the defense in conflict. So you may line up in a running formation to throw the ball, or you may line up in a passing formation to run the ball. So you're always thinking about that. Then maybe you're in a running situation like third down and 1, and you may throw the ball because the defense is geared up to stop the run. So there's different creative thinking that you do throughout the season as you're game planning, as you're getting ready for our defense. And the defense is thinking about, okay, they're in a running formation. We're going to try to disguise our look so that we give them a running defense on the snap of the ball. So maybe we give them a passing look that they think they can pass against, but then on the snap we move to a running look. So defense is similar, but trying to stop the offense.
So, as an artist, I'm thinking we're trying to deal with illusion sometimes, and having people think they're seeing something when they're not.
That's exactly right.
So
it's the art of deception in many ways. So that's what you're trying to do offensively. And then there's times as a football team where if you're a good football team, a tough football team, you have to be able to line up in third and 1 and run the football no matter what. And the defense may know what's coming, and you just have to accomplish the task. So there's that's part of it too.
Right. I have to say, I was watching this practice. I was looking at the quarterbacks, and I was particularly impressed with the freshman bench.
Yes.
And just he's so much presence and accuracy with the ball. And we had talked earlier, and it was interesting how you talked about your players as if, you were a sculptor, and they were. This was the medium you were given.
Right.
And could you talk about that?
Sure.
About how you?
Every player out here has a certain skill set. Somebody might be quicker than they are fast. Somebody might be really fast but not that quick. Somebody might be not very big, and somebody else might be really big and be able to move, generate force because of how big they are. So you're always trying to put your players in a position where they can be successful. Don't ask somebody to do something that they're not going to be successful at. Take a look at their skill set. Always constantly evaluate how these guys can fit into both the offense and the defense, and that's how you try to put your players in successful positions.
Right. Great. I guess the last question, when I work with young college students and they want to become artists, and their parents are paying tuition, and you're a teacher, and we're here as educators, and we're thinking about our students in terms of what they're going to do once they graduate.
Sure.
And I guess, what are your thoughts about advice that you give to your players that go just beyond, not just being a good football player, but to be a citizen that's sort of successful in our society?
Football teaches you a lot of things about life, in my opinion. It teaches you to be disciplined, to be on time. It teaches you to learn assignments and understand what your job is and to be able to do your job. it teaches you that sometimes you're going to get knocked down, and how are you going to pick yourself back up? How are you going to deal with adversity? You know, when you're down in a game, are you going to give up, or are you going to figure out how to combat and come back and win the game? So football teaches you a lot of different things, and we try to educate our guys by obviously, you know, making sure that they go to class and they're doing the right things off the field, but then on the field, what can they do that will carry over into the rest of their lives? And we think that those are some of the principles of coaching.
Right. Well, I got to stop this, but just one last thing, and I promise this will be it. But that idea of camaraderie, and a lot of people are talking about collaboration now, and that you learn a lot by collaborating with somebody else. And certainly in a team sport, you know, that idea of camaraderie and how does one cultivate that atmosphere?
Right. Football is the ultimate team sport because it takes 11 guys operating efficiently, every guy doing their individual job as well as they can do it. And so you cultivate that by, in your team meetings, talking about team with these guys. Hey, look, if 10 guys do it right and one guy doesn't, we're not going to have a successful play. Whereas if 11 guys are on the same page, and we use the phrase, if 11 guys can see it through the same set of eyes, then that's a really important thing on a football team. And so that's what training camp's all about. Every day trying to make sure that guys understand the different situations, the different problems that come up on offense and defense, and how are you going to handle those as a unit.
Fantastic. Coach O'Brien, thanks so much for your time.
You got it. You got it.
All right, that was terrific.
Okay.
Thanks a lot.
You got it.
Yeah.
I belong in an Eastwood movie, you know, one take. Just. All right, thanks, guys.
Yeah, thank you.